Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Boozy Botanical podcast. My name is Holly.
I'm Angelique.
Hi. Welcome back.
Hello. Episode 19.
19. Dude, can you believe it?
Just yesterday, it was a summery December in Los Angeles. We were recording our first episode.
Just yesterday, it was 75 degrees in December, and we were recording. People are like, shut the fuck up.
I know. I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
Aw, how are you doing?
I'm well. I feel like it's been a minute.
I know. I think it has, right? Because we kind of, well, you guys don't know this, but last week we didn't record, so.
Right. So it feels like forever and trying to like save up everything I want to talk to you about on the podcast.
Right. I know. And then I'm like, wait, did I tell her everything I was going to tell her? Oh, no.
Exactly. But no, I'm well. Oh, yes. What's up?
Good. I was just going to say, before we get too crazy, what are you drinking? Because last episode, you promised us a fancy cocktail, if you remember.
I know it's not purple as promised, but it's not too late. This time, it depends on how I'm going to word this, how fancy it is. But it was my birthday, as you guys know, and I got a lot of alcohol as gifts. And my friend Emilio gave me a bottle of Malibu, which you guys know is a fan favorite in my house.
Oh, yes.
So I decided to get a mango puree is not the accurate word, but it's better than saying bottled juice. So a mango pureed reduction that's bright yellowy orange with an unmeasured shot of Malibu. That was definitely overpoured. And
on purpose, though.
On purpose, without having an ounce of food in my body today. As we've mentioned, it's the morning when I record these.
Yeah, that's how it's been happening, you know? So we'll have to change that eventually.
It's like a sweet burst in my mouth. It's like coconut and mango. I just feel like it's so good together.
Yes. Yes.
And
the cup is pretty cute too. A little sugar skull.
It's my little it's a little Dia de los Muertos mason jar. Josh's mom gave us matching ones. She gave him the dude and mine was a woman sugar skull. But mine got one of us put it in the dishwasher and she's no more. So
so we're left with the gentleman.
Yeah, my little sombrero man. But you know, for me it's day 2 of unemployment and I'm just day drinking. So if that gives you guys any idea how it's going,
season of unemployment. That's amazing. Well, I do want to hear all about that for our weekly catch up for sure.
Yes. What are you drinking?
I will quickly share what I'm drinking. So I believe I've told you guys about this sort of mixture before with the pressed coconut water. Well, it is back. Yes. It's in a fancy cup, ASMR. But yes. I am also drinking Malibu rum. How funny. We're twinsies.
Oh, yay.
And then I put like tons and tons of lime juice with the pulp because I like pulp. I'm that kind of person. And it's so good. Like, it's hitting really good.
You're a pulpy gal.
Yeah. But no, the drink is so good. And again, it's in my fancy cup. And sorry if you guys hear the ice sort of like, you know, hitting the cup. But what are you going to do? So yeah, that's what I'm drinking today.
I want to start trending, calling it a jingling ice. The ice is jingling like at Christmas time.
An ice jingle. Mm-hmm. That's really cute, actually.
I'm all about an ice jingle.
Yep, we are. And I hope you guys are too, because, you know, we are the Boozy
Botanical
podcast. So sometimes that's just what's going to happen. But
well, Holly, what is your weekly update for me today? What have you been up to?
Well, you know, there has been lots of things going on between my parents coming into town, leaving. Yeah. But the most important update when I was thinking about, okay, what am I going to tell her about? Like, what is in the forefront? The most exciting thing is I got a wish list plant.
Stop it. What did you get?
Okay, so if you guys are familiar with the Hoya Bella, we all love
Uh-huh.
it, blooms very well. There's a variegated Bella with the outer margins that are white. I have that one, but the one
Oh,
that I was going crazy about was they call it the Le Bois, I think that's what they call it. Louis Bois.
well, like,
Hoya
wow,
Bella.
you sound like from the Rugrats.
That's how it's spelled. It's spelled like
That's so cute.
I think it is pronounced Le Bois. And essentially it's just the reverse variegated Hoya Bella. Oh my gosh. I
That's
got a
life.
3-node cutting and I'm just so stoked about it.
Was this a trade?
No, dude, I actually bought it.
You're like, I put money down for this plant.
I did because I imagine it would be kind of tough to trade for. And I don't
Mm.
really have anyone that I've been trading with lately. So I'm like, I don't know. And I haven't bought a plant in like probably close to 8 months. Like actually bought a plant like online, like a wish list plant aside from like nurseries or
Right,
whatever.
right.
So I'm like, I'm just gonna do it.
Good for you. You deserve it. It's your summer plant, you know? That was
Yes.
your summer splurge for the year.
My summer splurge that turned into 3 other plant purchases, not as expensive,
What
but
did you buy?
okay, so we had the Hoya Bella, then we have a Hoya Acuta variegata.
It
That
is
one
a
is
cuta.
Acuta, which is currently out for delivery right now. So I'm like, oh.
You're gonna
And then,
run. You're gonna hear Holly run out during this recording, being like, "It's here!"
hold on, guys, pause. I gotta go pick this up. And then what was the other one? I'm already forgetting what it was. Oh no.
You must really love it, Holly.
I do.
Is it?
Oh, I know. I remember. It was the Hoya patella, which is like kind of like a Hoya Thomsonii. It's a little fuzzy, but the flowers that come out are actually like pretty large pink flowers. So I think it's also called Hoya patella pink. And I've wanted it for so long, ever since Juju Succulents. Hey, girl. She
Love that
always used to
name.
talk about, yes, I know, right? She used to talk about this plant a lot too, and hers was always really gorgeous. So, but I never see it for sale. Like I've been looking for, honestly, the last 3 years, I've been wanting to add this plant to my collection, but I've never been able to find someone who's selling it or even someone who's trading it. So it's just kind of like a, I don't know, maybe it's like an underrated Hoya, I guess. But I was so excited. I think the Etsy shop I got it from was called the Garden Gals on Etsy. And so, yeah, and I got that.
That's amazing. But is
Yeah.
out of the three, would you say like the biggest personal win for you was that first one?
Yes.
Oh, yay!
Just
The
because it's like, yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Oh,
The
no, just because it's like a wishless plant.
the other one you mentioned, the something patella, it made me
Yeah.
think of like, does it look like a kneecap? Because your knee is the patella.
Really?
Yes, it's the only body part I know. I'm pretty sure. Let me double check.
Do we need to Google this?
I am. Yes, patella is your knee.
Oh,
P A
geez.
Patella.
Why
Say
would
it
it
with
be
me,
called
everybody.
that?
I'm just saying. I'm gonna forever call it your knee plant.
My knee. It's like, is your knee fuzzy? Because it's a fuzzy leaf Hoya. So what?
Well, there is some merit to that because anyone that shaves their legs knows that it's very hard to work around the knee with a razor. So it
Sometimes
is fuzzy
it
usually all the time.
is. Well, there you go. There you have it, people.
By the
Hoya
way,
knee,
Holly,
Hoya patella.
and for those watching on YouTube, your Wally Grows look gorgeous behind you.
Thank you.
Love what
I've
I
kind of
see.
cheated with a
Like a
couple like
circle.
this. Yeah, so this one right here, it's just like a plant in a pot stuck into a Wally grow. Even
Love it.
this one, it looks like it's planted in. I have a Hoya
Oh, yeah.
tricolor. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's in a pot, just thrown in. It's
But
easier to water that way.
you're just catch potting.
I am, it's easier to water and there you go. So I'm not gonna say I'm lazy. I'm efficient.
Hey, there you go. So you're saving time. You're a boss woman with things to do. You don't
Yeah.
have time to plant things in soil. Like, hello.
No, and having to take it off well, I'm still taking it off the wall and watering it. But you know what? As far as water drainage goes, it's much simpler.
It's easier because with the Wally grows sometimes, because I do have all of my plants planted in the Wally grows, I'll have to sometimes like
Right.
bend them over sideways. So I'm like really drain.
Yes,
The
yep.
holes are in the front.
Uh-huh.
For those who don't know. Yeah.
True. I used to have some planted in Wally Grows, and I'm like, it's very tough.
Yes, your ace of spades.
Yes,
That's
yep.
right. I really like it, but for me, I'm just dreading the day that they outgrow it because I'm like, I don't know where the hell these
No.
plants are gonna go.
Mhm.
So
Maybe you
we'll
could trim the
see.
roots.
I guess so. I guess that'd be what I have to do.
Yeah.
Well,
But how are
Holly,
you? Tell us all about your life.
I am well. I have been going through a lot of feelings with my plants.
Yeah.
I'll give you a positive and a negative. So a
Okay.
positive is the philodendron pink princess you gave me finally started rooting.
Oh my goodness.
And
That's awesome.
for those of you guys that follow me or follow the pod on Instagram, it was one of our recent recipe inspirations. My little baby, pink princess. So it's all the pinks. It's like is literally the size of like my thumb fingernail. This leaf, it's so cute, and it has so much pink
Oh,
splash on. It's so tiny.
yay. Oh my
I I
goodness.
was like, oh my god. The length of the leaf that was on it that died off was the length of my hand. This leaf is so small.
Oh, but that's okay. The next one will get bigger and bigger, you know?
It's already coming out, a second one. So
Ah,
I'm very
yay!
excited. I have it in a little IKEA Tupperware with perlite because it outgrew the leaf. Because I've noticed sometimes when I put, I don't know necessarily in a bag, but when I've put little like nodes or anything that start sprouting in like a Starbucks cup, when they touch the plastic, they start to like brown the leaves. And
Yeah,
yeah, so I was like, I don't want this to happen because it kept touching the plastic of the Ziploc
right.
bag. So I graduated her to a little tiny Tupperware that's a square. And then
Aw.
I have a cloth, is that what it's called? Like
Cloche something? Yeah.
cloche, like I have like a globe sort of
Like the
glass
Beauty
thing.
and the Beast glow
Ex
rose globe thingy.
Yes, exactly. I actually the one time I went to Folia with you and our friend Aurora, it was in the free bin, and that's what I
Oh,
remember I was like, "I don't
nice.
know what this is. Maybe it's a pot. I'm not sure."
It's free. I'm taking it.
I think you told me you're like, "Oh, it helps with propagating," and I was like, "It's for free." So I took it, but I think the reason why they gave it away is because it's very shallow.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like, you can't have anything tall in it. It's, like, super, like, literally thumb-sized plants are
Yeah.
good for this thing, and so it's
It's
working for
gonna
this
do
little
its
guy.
job and then outgrow it eventually.
Ye Yeah, I can't use it for very long on any plant, but it works for, like,
Mhm,
little things, you know? So I
mhm.
have that in my greenhouse under the thing, so it's, like, double whammy, but
Aw.
I am really excited because I told you guys that I'm in the process of buying acrylic shelves for my greenhouse,
Yes, you did.
so you'll see it on TikTok one day, and,
Did you get them yet?
no, I'm literally we've been back and forth because I was paranoid that because I've been seeing on, like, the IKEA Greenhouse Club that people said their acrylic shelves will bend over time with weight.
Oh, I can see that,
Weight and
yes.
wear. This person's really reputable and was recommended to me by another planty user on Instagram, and
Right.
they told me I was like, "Hey," like, I was recommended to get a half-inch thickness, which is very thick for a shelf if you think
Sure.
about it. It's, like,
Yeah.
more than double of what the glass ones are that it came with,
Right.
and he was like the seller was like, "I really think 3/8 is enough for the Fabricore tall, but if you're feeling like you really want it to, like, be, like, extra durable, pay $10 extra per shelf, and I'll do
Right.
it for a half." But he doesn't have the half advertised on Etsy as an ad, so we had to do it through PayPal, like, we had to do a whole separate thing,
Oh.
which is fine, but of course, now there's, like, an added step of, like, waiting for the invoice to come in, and then this, and then that, and then
Sure.
I misunderstood pricing. So just this morning before we recorded, I responded being like, "Wait," because it was like $100 more than I expected, this invoice.
Uh-oh.
And I was
Uh-oh.
like, "Oh, no." Like, it's
Oh,
more like,
no.
the invoice is like, it was like not no shade, this person's amazing, and I will shout them out, especially upon receipt. But, it was like I was expecting to pay about $160 plus tax.
Yeah.
And then it was like 260 is what the invoice was. And I was like, I
Mm,
just lost my job. That's not what I was expecting. But
right.
I think we just had some miscommunication because I wanted one full shelf and then two corner shelves. So do you know what I mean by corner shelves where like they won't take
Yeah.
up the full space?
It's just like
So
a little triangle, right?
it's a triangle. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I saw not an isosceles. It doesn't matter what kind of triangle it is, but I when they messaged me, they said when they were like, "Okay, for half-inch thickness, it's $80 for the full piece, which is one shelf, and then for I read it as 2 pieces, which is one pair of
Got it.
triangles is 80 bucks," which made sense to me because I was like, "Oh, if you put those together, that's one full
Right.
thing." So I thought that I that's what made sense in my head, and then I think they charged me 80 per triangle, which would make sense.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, "That's a lot for a triangle." So, like, I'm
Definitely
like
a triangle.
yeah. I'm hoping that they're cool. Like, again, it's their business, so if they're like, "No, like, this is the price," I will honor it, but I don't have money, so we'll see. But,
Mm.
I just really hope because, like, I'm definitely having trouble with my bottom tier getting humidity. I
Yeah,
actually moved my humidifier to the bottom level, so I was like, "Okay, it'll travel up." But it's the
right.
little guy you gave me, he's now not holding, like, he's not putting
Really?
out water long term, like mist, so it might just be kicking the bucket, which I know it wasn't doing well
Oh,
already, but
yeah.
I love the colors, so I'm hoping I can make it last, but I'm
Well,
not yeah.
if
Oh, go
not,
ahead.
I got it on Amazon, so you might be able to find another one.
Mm, I'm
Oh,
struggling, and if anyone else has the same struggle and wants to mourn with me or has recommendations, DM me because I don't want a fat, ugly humidifier in my fabric or tall because I don't have room. It's a small greenhouse. So,
so
like
here's my question. Do you have to have a humidifier? Because I don't have a humidifier in my Mars Hydro, and
and
it
they
holds
keep it high.
very high, like usually around 80, at the
Oh,
bottom, and like maybe around like 60
so
top.
I think I took out a few plants recently, and so now I have a lot more space in there, and it's not getting very high in humidity, but when I first got it and I
Got
stuffed
it.
it with plants, it was holding humidity on its own. So
Okay.
I don't wanna keep stuffing it with plants until I have the acrylic shelves because my airflow isn't as effective as it should be. So it's like this big
Yeah.
catch-22 because you have a lot of plants in your Mars Hydro,
I kind of do. Yeah,
right? Or you did before.
I did before, not as many now, but it's
Mhm.
still a decent amount.
I think that's what it is. I think because I was wondering, I was like, should I even be using this? So I think I'm gonna see like if I just throw in a few other propagations, let's see if they can make something happen because I
Yeah,
just I don't want that like big Lavoit box in
I
my
know. It's
I just
just
don't
not big. The cabinet's not big enough.
no, it's gonna take up a whole tier and I can't afford
Yeah.
that. So it's like, but with the little guy you gave me, which is like I think it's technically like a purify. I don't know what it is, but like I have to change it almost every day and I forget. So I think that's also on
Yeah.
me. Like when I first got the greenhouse, I was more on top of it. So
Right.
I always had high humidity, but things are growing in
That's
there. So I'm like,
good.
but the biggest struggle, that's what I was gonna say. So my negatives are my Scindapsus pictus exotica is not firming up. You remember how it was curling like a
Yeah,
month ago? I
I think it's
changed
so
literally
great.
took it out of the pot, Holly.
Yeah,
Literally 100% new soil, 100% new everything. White roots still, juicy roots. They
okay.
they won't firm. The leaves are not firming up. It's a
Weird.
curly, ugly mess. And
And pests and
I don't
everything.
see anything, and I don't want to chop it off and propagate the whole thing because the roots are fine.
Yeah, I
I
wouldn't
feel
do
like it's
that.
a waste. Like, that's
Mhm.
I just don't know what to do anymore, and I'm afraid of and I fertilized it, and I was like, "I hope I didn't shock it," but it was already curled before that, and
Right. No.
I super thrive, I gave it
Uh-huh.
rooting hormone, like, everything I could do, and it's
Mhm.
not curling, and then it fell off from the ceiling, and now it's not even
It fell
hanging
from the
anymore.
ceiling? So the hook fell?
So totally came out with an anchor in it. But what happened
Oh
was I
gosh.
had just watered it, like, I gave it a shower. I was like, "Imma soak the hell out of this thing." And
Okay.
then I went to work, and I had intended for it to soak for 1 or 2 more days, but I didn't communicate that with Josh, and he had to shower, and I just assumed it's my fault. I assumed he would just, like, put it on the sink and then put it back, but he hung it up for me, and it was so heavy with water, and it
Oh
broke.
no.
Yeah, I usually wait a few days,
Yeah.
but it was, like, less than 24 hours after I watered it, and it just totally fell.
Wow,
So
that's interesting.
now I have nowhere to put it, and it's ugly, and it breaks my heart 'cause it's one of my favorite plants and one of my first plants.
I
Like, you
know.
were there when I bought it, and I'm just
I
like,
know. I told you to buy it. I'm like,
it's
"Get
also
it."
it's also pushing out new growth, so the new growth is fine, but everything else is curling and yellowing, and I don't water it that
Interesting.
much. So I'm like,
Hmm.
I
So
don't
it's just
know.
do you think it's just the old leaves? Because if it's just the old leaves, that's kinda normal,
It's
but
been a little bit of both. So it's, like,
hmm.
really I'll send you pictures later, but I'm just sad. So there's that,
Oh,
and
keep me
then
posted.
yeah, so we'll see. That was my negative, and then this is my neutral is you know how you and I got elbows from Lacey from
Yes.
Jumanji John?
Yep.
Mine is still not rooting, and it's starting to black on the ends, and I'm
So
afraid that maybe I just need to cut off the leaf, but the leaf isn't dead, and it's so beautiful.
no, leave the leaf because that is what's providing the chunk energy.
Okay, good.
Mine just barely started to put out, like, the beginning of a new root. So,
Okay.
I have mine
Just so
in
you
a
guys know, me and Holly have twin elbow cuttings.
yes, yes, we do. So, mine is in, a plastic bag with perlite.
Mine
It has a
too.
new and it was just a nub, it didn't have a leaf, and, it put out a new tiny little baby leaf, and then it's starting to put out, a root. So, it just takes a long time, I feel,
Okay.
you know?
So you don't, because I was thinking about your cutting, and because your cutting had a leaf, but it was already yellowing when I gave it to you, remember? Like, it was starting to
Yeah,
yellow, or it didn't yellow, but then it died soon after, right?
it must have been so quickly because I don't even remember.
Yeah, remember? I bought 3 on clearance. You guys, we got $30 elbow cuttings, let me tell you. That's why
Yes.
this is so stressful for me because I already killed one, so
It's more stressful than if you paid, like, 1,500 or however much they cost now.
on average, I see the same thing that you got, because we both had pretty thick chunks, at
Yeah.
least for 150 to 130 on, like, the low end,
Jeez.
and we got it for $30. We got it for, like, over $100 off, and
Yeah.
but so I bought 2, you bought 1, and I gave you one of the thick chunks. I kept a thick chunk, and then I took one that was more immature, a tiny one. The tiny one died,
Okay, okay.
and then
Oh,
your thick one, I was excited to give you because it had, ribbed fenestrations, the little tiny circles, and then
yeah.
it died. I remember, Holly, your leaf died within, like, the first week.
Yep.
So it
Yeah,
makes me
I
wonder,
remember.
oh, I'm sorry, but that's why I was like but that's why I'm wondering, like, "Oh, should I have just killed the leaf and, like, have a node like Holly did?" But then, like, I don't wanna kill it.
I don't think so because
Okay.
I've found that leaving them on, like, they still have energy to provide.
Yeah,
That's why chunks are so hard to root because they don't have any energy, they
or
don't have
aerial
any
roots.
right, so
Okay, so
I
I should
think
just be patient.
just be patient. I know it's really hard,
Do you
but
think Oh, I'm sorry.
no, no,
Um,
no, go.
have do you think I've never tried this, but I see people putting wax on their cuttings. Do you
Oh,
think
yeah.
this is like, I'm just afraid because it's definitely at the ends getting blacker than it was before, but it doesn't seem
So
it feels kinda woody, like, I don't feel like it's rotting in the middle, but, like, the outside is getting dark. Does that make sense?
yeah, so is it getting more and more dark? Like, is it spreading or is it
I
just
think
the
one
end?
side is spreading, and it's
Okay.
the side that's closer to the node, so I don't have as much forgiveness on that side.
So what you could do is cut any dark parts off and let
Okay,
it callus for, like, a couple hours, like, don't have it in its rooting substrate or anything,
okay.
or you can do the same thing and then do the wax thing. I've never personally done it, but I think you can literally just get, like, a tea light and melt it and then put it on the ends,
Yeah,
but
'cause I've
make sure
never
there's
done
no
it.
yeah, just make sure there's no black when you do that because you don't wanna, like, trap it in, you know?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody has recommendations, please let me know because 'cause I'm panicking.
You'll be
Ugh.
okay though, it's gonna be fine, it just takes time.
Okay,
Like a
good.
long time.
That's why I want the humidity up because I have it in perlite just like you, and I see it be humid inside the Ziploc bag, and I'm just like, so we'll
Mhm.
see. Okay, it'll be fine. I need to stop psyching myself out. I've got a pink princess doing its thing, so if
That's
nothing
right,
else,
that's right. Oh,
all
goodness, wow.
good. Well, Holly, it would before we
Yes.
get into our topic of the day, it would be my great honor if I could introduce this week's plant Papi of the week.
Hey, please tell us.
So I am very excited to introduce this person because when we first started Boozy, I got a message from at Proud Plant Dad, and I was like, "Who's
Aw.
this?" And it was someone that was saying hello, responding. I think they were saying that they love our show, and then responding about my calathea debacle on like ceramic or terracotta. Because
I remember this.
yes, and then we became friends. It's Jose Francisco at Proud Plant Dad. He is from
Woohoo.
New York City. He goes by Francisco primarily, but he said Jose is fine as well. I
Nice.
love
Nice.
him. We mess each other like every week with like, planty things. Super
Aw.
kind, super supportive of our show, and he's a kitty dad, a cat dad.
His kitties are so gorgeous.
I know. He has 2
So
cats.
cute.
They complete my life, and he's just now recently starting to post more of his plant collection, which is really exciting. And this year, his goal is to become a Lechuza Pond substrate pro as well as a Hoya pro. So
Ooh.
those are the things that he's
Hell
focusing
yeah.
on. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's been messaging me about how like the Lechuza is going and stuff because I've never done it, but we've talked about pond a bit, especially with like we had Adam on and stuff. So that's been really fun to see him go through. So if you guys want to
That's so
follow
cool.
his Lechuza planty journey, follow him
Yeah.
at Proud Plant Dad. And if you're in the New York
Yes.
area, say hello.
He
I
has
can't
great
wait to go to New
photos
York.
too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
The way he captures everything is so good. So yeah, definitely give him
Mhm.
a follow, you guys.
I love you, Francisco. So thanks for being my friend.
Yay. Thank you for all the love and support.
Yes, like has left us a review on Apple Podcasts and
Oh,
everything.
that's really sweet.
Super,
Thank
yeah,
you.
super nice person. And I love his collection and literally has answered so many of my questions about planty things. So I
And
just
that's so nice when people are so
deserve.
willing to share information and be
Mhm.
helpful. Like yeah, you're a real one.
Totally. Yes. Oh my gosh. It makes me so happy. So thank you for being a support. And I can't wait to see you post more and more planty things. It's really exciting.
Yay. Oh, yay, yay, yay.
So Holly, I
So
am so
Angelique.
oh, hi. Don't make me nervous. I am so excited to talk about this topic today because
I am
I'm in
too.
the I'm in the thick of wanting to do this and I'm not doing it. So I need this inspo. Can you tell us what we're
Okay.
talking about today?
Yes, I can. Today we're talking all about mounted plants. You guys have seen, woo woo. You guys have seen, of course, staghorn ferns that are mounted, but we're talking about all the different plants that you can mount and
That you might
what are
not
the
think
best.
of.
Yeah, that's right. What are the best
Mhm.
kind, how to do it, inspo, all the things. So I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. And just so you guys know, I'm a noob when it comes to mounting, as in I've bought the materials and I haven't done it. So um Holly
That's
though is a pro. Yeah, Holly's a pro. And for any of you that are friends with her that saw her place in LA, or even now you have them up in Florida as well,
I
but
do.
you are a little pro when it comes to mounting with cork. Is it cork bark?
Cork bark.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
So
I'm
I will
excited
talk
to hear
all
all
about.
about it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I do have a epiphyte wall, as I call it, or mounted plant wall, and I just really love it, like because it just adds such a cool jungle vibe. So, anyways, let's just get right into it. So, what the heck are they? What are mounted plants? There are plants that are attached to wood or cork bark and hang on walls. So, what are the best plants for mounting? Well, glad you asked. I'm feeling
What
so
are they,
good right
Holly?
now.
This is your PBS special.
Okay, so the kind of plants that typically are mounted are epiphytes, and I have the definition, so I sound smart. It is a plant that grows on another plant but is not parasitic. Typically grows on tree trunks in tropical rainforests. Woohoo! So yeah, just like it sounds, they'll literally just grow on rocks, trees, and just kind of sit there and they kind of take in their fertilizer and like uh food and nutrients from like the air and the rain. So it's just like super cool.
They're the
Um
clingy friend in school.
yeah, they're the clingy friend, but
They're not a parasite, but
they're
they
not a
just really want a lot
parasite.
of love.
Exactly. They're actually, yeah, they're kind of like piggybacking, like, hey, can I stay with you? Like, do you have an extra room? Can I crash on your couch? And then they never leave.
They're the couch surfers of plants.
Yes, but instead of surfing, once they're attached, they don't move.
That's true. They don't travel. Touche, touche.
But these are some epiphytes that I wanted to share with you guys because I didn't even really think of them as epiphytes until I started to really get into mounted plants. But
Oh,
some of these include ferns, which was like really interesting to
I didn't
me. I
know
didn't
that.
think yeah, me either. Bromeliads, air plants, aka Tillandsias, Hoyas, of course, Ripsalis, and orchids. So those are just some examples. And yeah, they're really easy to mount, honestly, which I'll go into more detail soon. But I was gonna say, I feel like the whole mounted plants really came on the scene when Pistol's Nursery became really popular, which is in the Pacific Northwest. I'm blanking if it's Oregon or in Washington, so I'm not going to say
Okay.
exactly. But gorgeous nursery, and they usually have like this huge wall. Where you can buy mounted plants. Folia Collective also sells them. If you guys follow
Okay.
at Folia Bill, which is Danae's husband, he actually mounts all their ferns that they sell
Very
in the
cool.
store. And I know pre-COVID they used to do mounting fern classes. So super,
Ah,
super
that's
cool.
cool.
I
And just so you
know.
know, Pistols is in Portland. I double checked.
Thank you, Portland.
You're welcome.
And then also, you guys, if you're looking for mounted plant inspo, you need to follow, and I hope I'm saying it right, Ariana Tanabe on
Okay.
Instagram. She
Oh,
has
cool.
the most amazing rainforest vibes shower, and it's a whole wall of mounted plants, and it's just
Ah,
so gorgeous. She has Hoyas,
wow.
she has Ripsalis. I think those are the main species that she has. She may even have a peperomia mounted on cork, so they're all on cork bark. And it's just so gorgeous. If you guys haven't seen like a good example of like where can you put these in your house, check her account out. Um, yeah, it's so gorgeous. Like literally so gorgeous. But yeah, just
Wow.
had to share that, you know. So hopefully that made sense. But
So I have a question before we move on.
yes.
So just humor me. Okay. So in the wild, take a philodendron like a monstera, right?
Okay.
Monsteras are yeah, they're okay, cool.
No,
Okay.
they're monsters.
Okay, it's fine, whatever.
Monsters are monsteras.
That's what I thought, and then someone
Yeah,
said philodendron, and then I was like, "That makes sense," but it doesn't.
they were wrong.
I know, I'm embarrassing.
No,
So,
okay.
monsteras, obviously, like the Monstera deliciosa and, like, all these guys, they love to climb,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
in the
mhm.
wild, like, at the zoo wild, so, like, I you see them, like, climb trees and attach with, like, their aerial roots and stuff, so are there but they're not epiphytes, but you
Correct.
could you mount a monstera in the same capacity?
So I guess you technically could because you are covering the root ball.
Mhm.
Which
But it would
again,
probably be going out, not up, and they like to go up.
they like to climb. That's the difference. So
Yeah.
they're not really growing entirely on a tree. They still have their root system that is in the earth.
I know oh,
And
that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're
yeah,
not
they just like
yeah.
to stretch and grow, and they do like to attach themselves to trees, but that's really just to give them more stability, and that's what allows them to get their larger leaves, as you see, or
Mhm.
fenestrations, or if you guys have seen like golden pothos, like here in Florida, I see them all the time growing on trees, and they get massive. Like the leaves of
Like
these
banana
pothos
leaves.
yeah, and they have some
Yeah.
fenestration. So they do the same thing as like a monstera. Like they can grow on a tree and then get larger and larger leaves. Now, the interesting thing is pothos are considered invasive. So if you're not careful, I
Huh.
believe they can kind of choke out a tree that they're growing on. And they're not
What?
like it's not like a parasite, but it's just like they're wrapping itself so much. Like today, me and my friend Jen were on a walk and we saw like it looked like a tree with no leaves, just covered in pothos. So we were like, could it have been a palm tree that they cut the top off and then it just kind of overtook? So it's very interesting. So yeah, monstera and pothos are not considered epiphytes. And I mean, I do not think that, at least in America, North America, monsteras are invasive, but pothos are considered invasive. Like
Oh, those
here
are
in Florida
bullies.
and in Hawaii. Yep.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's
Very
crazy.
interesting. Yeah. So it's not a full on
Mind
like,
blown.
yeah, I keep on repeating myself. It's not a full on parasite, but it is not an epiphyte.
I'm
I'm
like,
sure there's a more botanist term that I could have looked up, but that's how I understand it. So that's
you
my
know
best
the
way to describe it.
you know the movie that came out in did Parasite come out in 2019 or 2020? Because it was a normal Oscar season. So
Probably
I
2019, I
I
think.
wow, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but maybe it was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just imagining that film, but Pothos
And
instead.
you actually see the movie, so we have to describe it.
Oh my gosh, that movie's you should watch it. That movie's insane. It's really, really good. But like I'm just
Yeah.
imagining like Pothos just overtaking the world and like it's an alien. Like it's like District 9, but in Pothos. Like, oh
And the
my
leaves are just getting
god.
bigger and bigger, and the roots are just, like, entangling over everything.
Are they where are Pothos from originally to where they're not invasive? Or are they just
They're
a
just invasive everywhere. I'm pre
so
or
they're
I'm
are they is it a weed?
It kinda grows like a weed, and funny
Oh my
enough,
god,
like,
pothos are weed?
I
Is a
mean,
weed
I'm not
our
gonna
weed? I don't
say
know how to speak English.
I don't think I don't really know what actually considers. No, it's not a weed, it's not a weed. I mean, it can grow like a weed, but it's
No
not, like,
kidding.
poking out, like,
It's literally
you know.
choking my fridge right now. I have no more room. Like, oh my
But it's
god.
mainly the reason why it chokes it out, it possibly is because it just grows so rapidly, not because it's, like,
Oh,
actually sucking nutrients from the tree of which it's growing on, if that
right.
makes sense, and that would be considered parasitic. So it's just more so just it's just big and that it's the plant that needs to move out. That you're like, "Okay, you've been here a long time on my tree here."
Yeah. Oh my that I am my mind is blown. That
Yeah,
is
but it's so pretty, like, I
crazy.
love seeing them. I think if you can, like, manage them, like, our next door neighbor, they have a lot of pothos that grow on trees, but she's trimming them quite frequently, so I don't know, but
Okay, so she probably understands. I think they're just misunderstood. Poor things. Wow.
yeah.
I just need a minute. Like that was I was not expecting to learn this today. Like what?
Well, you asked and I told you.
I'm stuffed with Malibu, no food, and I'm just now learning that all my pothos are a lie. So like it's very I just everyone's like, "It's
A
the
lot to
easiest
process.
plant. They're harmless. They're the ones that are gonna make you feel like you're a good plant parent." Meanwhile, it's killing everything. Like
Not killing.
not killing
It's just it's
a
considered invasive, that's all.
it's it doesn't understand boundaries. It's like a friend it's like the
Exactly.
person that they text you too much. Like, it's like the friend that's like, "Hey," and you don't answer for 10 minutes, "How are you?" You don't answer for 30 minutes, "Are you mad at me?"
I'm coming
And
to your house right now.
I'm at the doctor. I'm sorry I didn't respond right away." Like,
I'm hiking and there's no service.
I just, like, really wanted to know why you were mad at me. Like, "Oh my god, like, is this because of lunch? Is this because I didn't show up to lunch on time? Like, I was 5 minutes late? Is that why?" And I'm like, "Oh, you need to see someone." Like,
Here,
wow.
I'll grow some more pretty leaves. No, no, it's okay. We're good. No, really, let me grow some more leaves to make up for me, for
Yeah.
my behavior.
Oh gosh,
But no,
yes.
it's not as bad as it sounds, but yeah. Anyways.
Oh, man. Well, moving on, I'll be okay, guys.
So moving on, if you would like to make your own, now I'm going to sound like an infomercial. If you would like to make your own DIY mounted plant right from home, here's what you'll need. So basically, what you're going to want is a non-rotting wood such as cedar or my favorite, cork bark. You're going to want fishing line, a little bit of soil, sphagnum moss, and then personally, what I use to actually attach it to the wall is a 12 gauge aluminum wire, but you can really just use like any bendy wire, and then some nails. So
Ah.
it's pretty easy. It's okay. The concept is easy. Sometimes when you're doing it, it can be very difficult, but you want to take your cork bark and put some, what I like to do is like put some nails around it, or especially if you're using cedar, you want to put nails so that way you can like wrap it. But you
Mm-hmm.
want to take your plant, stick it on the cork bark with a little bit of soil and really get a lot of sphagnum moss to cover the root ball. And then you just want to tie a knot with the fishing line and then just wrap it in all different ways. And then you tie it off and then you just drill a little hole for the wire and yeah, then you're done.
I've seen a lot of people do if you're feeling overwhelmed, people, listeners might be less combative, but, like, I've seen people, they'll do the crisscross effect to kinda
Uh-huh.
get into the groove of things. So if you're feeling
Yes.
overwhelmed, but I've also seen just, like, every which way direction with no sort of
Mm,
pattern,
that's
and that
what I do.
as long as it's, like, tight without squeezing the plant too much, but, like,
Yeah.
you know it's not gonna fall out, obviously.
For sure. You want it to be secure so that when you water it, you're not going to have moss falling out, which I have had happen. But then
Right.
also, you don't want to like squeeze it. So I guess that also does bring me to the other point is like, if you like, how do you water it? Right. So
Yes.
basically, what I do, I just like put it in the sink and like put water over it. But technically, you're supposed to let it sit for like an hour or so. You can do whatever works for you. I let it dry for a little bit and then I just hang it back on the wall, even if it's a little wet. I'm like, okay, as long as you're not dripping, you're fine. But
Fine.
they're honestly very easy to manage. Now, I will say they will dry out a little bit quicker than if you were to have something planted in soil. Like I have my albo marginata variegated
Mhm.
bella mounted, but there's no soil. It's all sphagnum moss. So that one, and because it's a Hoya bella, it wants more water. Now my ripsalis that are mounted, I rarely need to water those, which is nice because it is kind of a hassle taking it off the wall, letting it dry.
Right.
So that's one thing to keep in mind. I have seen even Pistils sells things like syngoniums, philodendrons mounted. So they can be mounted as you were asking, but I just imagine that you really want to keep up on your watering schedule
Yeah.
if you do get those. That's why my favorite are Ripsalis and Hoya and orchids to mount.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Aren't if I may ask, aren't you in the process of no, I think I lied. Am I? So, of our lovely friend Carlos gifted you
Carlos.
yes, he
Yes.
gifted you ferns recently,
You
correct?
did. Thank you so much, Carlos. I made
They're
a TikTok.
beautiful. Yay, check
Oh,
it out, guys.
goody. Yes, if you guys haven't checked it out, definitely do. But yeah, he sent me in his shop, which is called Little Plant Club, they have things called like the family. So he sent me the fern
Oh,
family
that's
and it came with I
cute.
know, it came with a staghorn, a heartleaf, and then a bird's nest. I don't
Yes.
know the exact like variety name, but yeah, so I'm thinking of mounting the staghorn one because it's small. Because that's another one that's like you don't have to water it as much if it's indoors. If it is outdoors, you can even water it every day. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and mount that one. We'll see.
You know if it's gonna go indoor or outdoor if you mount it?
If I were to do it, I'd probably try indoors because I
Okay.
do have another mounted staghorn outside, and it's I don't know, I don't have enough shade in my yard, so
Oh, I
it's
remember
a
that
little
when you mounted it here.
Mhm. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see. I'm gonna hopefully it'll get acclimated to the Florida sun and it'll be
Yeah.
better. But since I have another one, I might keep it indoors.
Oh, yay. I think they look really pretty in, like, bathrooms and stuff too, as long as you have lighting.
Which I don't.
Oh, oh,
I know. I miss having windows in the bathroom, but that's okay because I have an office, so it's
no.
fine.
Yeah, you gained a house, so
But yeah,
I
so I'm
do
excited.
have I do have a question.
Mhm.
Obviously, I know cedar and bark are, like, the ways to go in terms of wood that doesn't easily rot.
Right.
But where I've been struggling is I have 3 staghorns in my house, all in nursery pots, probably all on the verge of death because I haven't been able to give them as much attention as I want to because
Oh no.
I want to mount them as one big unit. Like, that's what I wanna do, and
Ooh.
I wanna do it on cedar, and I had the cute idea, like, I know it's usually, like, a full on like, a straight on square, but I
Yeah.
thought, "Let me pivot, let me turn my square and make it so it's a diamond." And I
Yes,
thought that
and
and then I would drill my hole at the top of a point. I thought that would look quite pretty.
that
But
would.
yes, but I'm over here at Lowe's, and they only have cedar the size of Canada that I
Can
can
you get it cut though?
like logs. Like, that's the
Like,
thing. They're
not
like,
like flat panels?
"No." They're
Really?
huge. They're so big. Like I'm building a house. And,
Well,
like
if you can get them cut, you know what I
right,
mean?
right, and I've done that before for when I, like, built shelves and stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was also just very thick, like, hella thick, so
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
it wasn't just like buying a 10-foot slab that's, like, an inch thick or an inch and a half thick, and then
It
I just cut it to what I want and then keep the extra lumber. It was, like, very thick all around,
got
and I
it.
was like and they won't split it, like, they can't split it. I think that's, like,
Oh,
a
no.
problem, it's, like, unsafe. I don't remember if I checked Home Depot, but I'm getting desperate because I can't find cedar and I can't find it on Facebook Marketplace or anything, and I really don't wanna do I have cork bark that I'm saving for the Hoya Chelsea that you rooted for me, and
Yeah.
she's doing great, she's still in the prop box you gave me, but, I'm gonna mount that on cork bark, so that's just me being lazy, I just have to do
Yeah.
it, but,
You could try
yeah.
like a lumberyard type of
I
store.
think I think that's what I'm gonna have to do, but someone reached out to me because I was on, like, Village Green Thumbs, it's, like, a group that I'm on in LA, and one
Yeah.
girl was she had been mounting a ton of staghorns in Burbank. She's like, "I have
Mhm.
extra wood and I have extra stags, like, message me."
Oh my
I messaged
god.
her, and she was just using cutting boards from, like,
Oh,
Home Goods.
yeah?
What are
Because
your thoughts?
so that might be
Like a
it
very
might be
DIY sorta like, "What
I
do I
wonder
got at
what
home?"
yes, so maybe what you can try to do is shift your search engine on, like, I don't know, Amazon, somewhere online to cedar cutting boards. You know what I
It's interesting,
mean?
and they come with a hole. So that's kind
Uh-huh.
of interesting.
I
I was
think
It's a big hole, but
yeah, I think I have seen those on Amazon. It comes in, like, a pack of 3.
yeah, for, like, your kitchen.
Yeah, so that's a really good idea. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
So I just wanted to bring that up for anybody that's feeling overwhelmed going to a hardware store and asking the
Yeah,
people that seem like they know so much and they're gonna look down on you at the hardware store. If you don't wanna deal with that confrontation, go to Home
exactly.
Goods, I guess.
Right?
But
Because
it's
yeah,
just interesting, I guess if you're on a budget or whatever, you know?
for sure, for sure. That's a really good tip, especially if you can get
Right?
it in bulk somehow or at least get 2 to 3,
For, like,
it's
12 bucks or something.
you're saving a little bit that way. That's really
I thought
cool.
that was really interesting. I'd be curious, nailing into cutting boards. I wouldn't want them to split because I feel like cutting boards are often, like it looks like wood put together because you see the lines
Yeah.
sometimes, but, I mean, trial and error, if nothing else. I mean, a thrift store is hit or miss, like, assuming the cutting board's used. I wouldn't want, like, meat juices, like,
Yeah,
on my plant, but
for sure. Another thing you could do is driftwood. I've mounted little plants on
what?
driftwood,
If you're in
and
a
they're
beach town.
honestly yep, so, like, you being in LA, I don't see too much natural driftwood here in Florida, maybe I gotta go to a different beach, but I used to get it all the time in California, and that's another great alternative, and I think even you could probably purchase driftwood on Etsy or something like that, and, if you can get, like, a flat piece, that could be really cool too.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
I will keep you guys posted because I really wanna get these guys mounted. They're right now, they're in my shower caddy, below the shower head, just
Yeah.
getting watered when we shower, so,
There you go, I'm sure
um,
they're living their best lives, so
I
it's
have a
okay.
yeah, I have a final question for you. So,
Yes.
when mounting on cork bark, obviously, like, it's like a tree, sort of. So it's, like,
Yeah.
not like a flat piece of cedar. So what was it like for you nailing into cork bark, or did you not use nails with cork bark? Because obviously there's not rivets, what's the word? Like
Yeah.
divots, so there's, like,
Yeah, yeah.
spaces.
Some
Obviously, it's a
deep.
different medium, yeah.
For sure. So I won't do
Oh, good to
wood nails,
know.
but I have. And it's not
Okay.
bad because it's a very almost squishy, foamy. Just think like
Yeah,
cork,
yeah,
like
yeah.
chunks. So it's really not that bad. If you can use like smaller wood nails, because they sell them in like different lengths and stuff, that works. But yeah, it's really not bad. But yes, to answer your question, usually
Okay.
I don't use nails and I'll just take the fishing wire and wrap it around the entire unit.
Which I feel like
No.
yeah, and I feel like that's really doable because I mean, obviously, you guys, you're looking at a piece of bark, and it's like there are spaces and stuff. You can easily like get the fishing wire to really like hold to it, you know?
Mhm. Absolutely. And it's smaller typically. Typically you're not mounting a giant staghorn when it comes to cork
Right.
bark. Like it's probably about like maybe 8 inches is my largest one, something like that. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Also, before we hit the road, Holly, just
Mhm.
for people that are listening to this, that maybe this is your first time wanting mounting or wanting to get into mounting, you guys are in the same boat as me. Like it's my first time pretty much. And Holly was helping me out, and you recommended a brand called Zoomed on Amazon for cork bark, which I have right
Yeah.
here.
Yes, yes,
So if
yes.
you guys don't really know where to start, look up the brand Zoo and then MED, Zoo Med Natural Cork Flat Reptile Terrarium Background, which
Yes.
is like, I guess it's like real estate for reptiles, is
It
what it
is
is,
actually. I've had one person on Instagram say to go to a pet store and that
which
they're
makes a lot of
too.
sense.
Yeah,
Might
I'm
be
like,
cheaper.
okay. So yes, those
Yeah,
are some good options. You can also buy them on in bulk on Etsy. But yeah, just I would look around and just give it a try.
cool.
Start with like one plant. I love the look of cork bark. It's
I
so
think it's
beautiful.
beautiful. Yes, and every piece is unique, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, fishing
Yeah.
wire too is really affordable in person at like a craft
Mhm.
store or anything. It's also like $6 on Amazon. I
Yep.
got fishing wire off of my Buy Nothing group on
Did
Facebook.
you?
I was
Nice.
like, "I need to mount a plant. I don't fish. I don't need a lot of it. Who has fishing wire?" And someone gave me like a strand of fishing wire. I
That's
asked
really
for like 5
sweet.
feet or something, and they just gave me some. They're like, "My
Nice.
husband fishes all the time." I'm like, "Thank you
You
very
sound like
much for your"
what's her name from The Simpsons? The Simpsons mom?
Marge?
Mark?
Marge?
My
That's
husband.
me. My husband really loves to fish. Homer.
Oh, Mark.
I don't think I have it just I'll work on it. I'll add that to my voice list.
There you go. In voice lessons, you're like, okay, I have a new voice, a new character.
She's like, "You need to put more gut into it." Marge. Oh my goodness. But,
Oh gosh, we're
ah,
so funny.
this is
Oh,
cool.
this has been such a good
It's been a
episode.
good episode. I did wanna shout out really quick, people in LA that know Jerry, our friend Jerry.
I was gonna bring
He
him up too.
This is just if anybody gets crazy and you have the yard for it, Jerry mounts staghorn straight onto palm trees.
Yes, way high up in the sky.
It's crazy, and they're doing great. So if you have a palm tree laying around, like, you
Yes,
know,
he also does really cool. Like he'll mount a Hoya and a Ripsalis on the same board, and he'll have like
beautiful.
a little triage of just like different
Yeah,
plants
yeah.
mounted together. So it's really really cool.
So the opportunities are endless if you get more, like, creative with it, you know?
Yep, it's very true. It doesn't have to be on cedar. It doesn't have to be a staghorn. It can almost be anything, any
Anything.
epiphyte.
Well, Holly, where can people find you on Instagram and all the things?
So all the things you can find me at concrete botanical underscore on Instagram, at concrete botanical on TikTok, and concretebotanical.com for my shop.
Yay! And you guys can find me on Instagram at Sucka for Plantas. My other podcast is at So I Got Fired. You guys can, oh, and then TikTok, whenever I bother, is at the Angelique with 3 E's at the end. And if you guys want to catch the podcast, we're at Boozy Botanical Podcast. We drop new episodes every Tuesday. Working on getting our YouTube up and running again. We've been having some
We're working on
problems, but that'll be released on Wednesdays, and you'll get some in bulk soon.
That's right.
And we words in my mouth. So you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well.
That's right.
And if you like what you heard, please leave a rate and review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us out. And we're hoping to maybe do another giveaway soon. We will see how things go. So
Yes,
we'll keep you
yes.
posted. Well, thanks so much
Awesome.
for
Thank you,
listening, guys. It's been another episode of the Boozy Botanical Podcast.
Yes. And with that,
Cheers!
cheers.
I lost the straw.